Good morning and welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 454, and today is going to be more demo oriented, and we're going to have Marko. Now, if you have not seen Marko, my camera, sorry about that, folks. If you've not seen Marko's previous episodes, I would highly recommend watching episode 128, seems like ages ago, and episode 141, where that's going to be more of his bio, background, and that. So yeah, I urge you to check those out if you want to find out more about him. But basically, we're going to be covering a system, which is a boss system. He can explain that. And so for those who maybe are not aware, but today's demos are going to be centered around him doing some grappling stuff with weapons. And so if you have something you want to see from him, put it in the right hand. I'll be sure to request for him. And if you don't know this man, axe man, throwing man, rolling on the ground man, stay away from me, man. So that's this man right here. So stay away from Croatia if you're down that way. You might not want to run into him. You never know what's going to pop out. Without further ado, here he is, my good friend, somebody I highly respect. I know he pisses a lot of people off, but hey, the truth does that sometimes. It is what it is. So here he is.
Hi guys.
Hey.
How are you, Dean?
Good. How are you? You like my intro?
I love the intro. I don't know if they caught when you said he pisses a lot of people off.
People that usually speak the truth, unfortunately, they tend to do that because a lot of people, they don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to see you as always, and I wish you and yours Merry Christmas. You know.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, if you want, why don't you maybe perhaps give a brief description of your system for folks that maybe are not aware of it?
Oh, okay. Thanks. So the thing that I've been preaching and showcasing for the last 2 years is it's what we call BOSS, what Slavic called BOSS, which is basically an acronym for Blade Attack Survival System. And in its original state, it was a close quarter grappling approach to empty-handed combat versus a blade. Later on, as it evolved, it added more than just the core 5 positions of it. It added trips, throws, weapon retention, drawing your own weapon inside the standing grappling position and ground grappling position. And now, since maybe a year, I started to research and develop the medium to long range application of empty hands versus a bladed weapon.
Okay. No, music to my ears. So wherever you want to start with, and we got folks already. Eric O'Brien from Florida. We got GM Raymond Floro from Australia. Folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. If there's something you would like to see from Marko, please put it in the comments section, and I will be sure to ask him. But without further ado, he's going to be showcasing, and you're going to be starting from Kimura, if I'm correct?
Yes. So I wanted to, since I asked everyone in the poll what they wanted, and a lot of people clicked like multiple times. So it was between grappling with the weapon and X stuff. And I don't know if the X stuff is really transferable to real life as grappling versus a weapon is. But I wanted to showcase one of my favorite empty-handed grips or two-on-one grips against the weapon hand, which is Yaku de Garami in Japanese, or a reverse shoulder lock, or more commonly, as we know it, as catch wrestlers call it, a double wrist lock, and jiu-jitsu guys call it Kimura. So I'll just go over the what for people that are not from a grappling base, what is a Kimura, and then I'll try to show it in different perspectives, from top, from bottom, against the wall, against the knife, gun retention. And if someone has a question, and you can always interrupt me and I can switch from the Kimura to something else. Okay?
I'm going to give you the bigger screen. There we go. All right.
Okay, so a Kimura is basically a two-on-one grab on the opponent's limb, and it basically involves a wrist grab or wrist control Now, this can be done with the thumb or without the thumb, depending on if you're on the ground or if you're standing. Because again, when you're on the ground, you can do this thumbless. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys do it thumbless because you're pushing into the ground. When you're standing, I prefer a thumb grip that slides down to the wrist. Okay, so I'm not grabbing the forearm. I'm not grabbing. Some guys want to grab the fingers, but this becomes a problem if, for example, Stipan's holding a knife, and then the fist is formed, and you can't slide down to the can. So I always prefer a wrist grab, and I grab basically just with, I call it a pincer grip, basically with just 3 fingers. The 2 last fingers are basically doing nothing. So I'm not holding up, I'm sliding to the wrist. Okay, that's our first grab. The second grab, what constitutes a kimura or a shoulder lock, is you're going over his shoulder, not over his elbow, over his shoulder and bending the arm, and then you're gripping where your watch would be. Now, this second grip, basically, it's almost always thumbless. Some people grab it with the thumb, but this, again, depending on where you are, if you're on the ground, if you're doing this from turtle, if you're doing this from bottom mount, it becomes a problem because it basically locks you in. You can't really turn at least your arms. So the second grip is thumbless. Okay, so first grip is pincer grip. You slide down, you go over the shoulder. Remember, not over the elbow, because if he pulls his hand violently out, you lose this. So you want to be, as you're going over the shoulder, you want to be with the blade of your hand biting against his tricep, causing, again, pain compliance, and then gripping your own hand where your thumb is. Where your watch is. Okay, this is the kimura hold. You can get this from a lot of different positions, and I'll go into the breaking mechanics and finishing of it as we change positions, but this is the basic hold. So let me just turn you this way. So when I grab the kimura, this is how you're generally going to be. Your elbows are going to be on top of him, and his elbow is going to be glued to your chest. So like you're holding a gun, okay? How you start losing this position is when people grab it, they start dropping it low. And this offers a lot of counters for your opponent. He can now go for a high crotch, pick you up. He can just pull his arm out. He can push against you and different stuff. So you always want to have your elbows, when you're holding this grip, up high. You don't want them low. Similar to a guillotine. When you're doing a guillotine, you want to be high, never low, or an ankle lock. Okay? So when you have this grip, the second arm is doing the pushing down. This is what causes the break. A lot of people, when they get the kimura, they try to push with this hand to finish. But you're actually, second, let me position Stipan like this, but you're actually wanting to push with this elbow to go here. So imagine like you're doing a windmill. Okay, so from here, and then this is what causes the break, because Stipan's elbow is glued to my body. Now I am moving with my entire body to break the shoulder. Okay, some guys, when they do the kimura, they push this hand super close, so that the angle of Stipan's arm, so that the angle of his arm is super tight. And this is more like a hammer lock, like a police hammer lock that you would see, like a hammer lock. Some prefer it to be out. So when you start breaking, you're basically not just breaking the shoulder joint or the rotary cuff of the shoulder, but you're also, depending on his extension, breaking the elbow. Okay, so again, I'll just summarize. I'm just describing the kimura position. Pincer grip, first grip, deep above the shoulder, cutting against the tricep. As you're bending this, you're holding your own watch, gluing his elbow to your chest. So when you rotate, you're basically using your whole upper body to break the joint. Instead of just trying to use your arms, you're basically like you're throwing an elbow strike. Okay, so that's the basis of what describes a kimura or Gyaku de Ganami hold. It can be used as a hold to move a person around. For example, if we were near a wall, I could use this to slam his arm into the wall. I could, if I was grabbing it from this side, I could use it to rotate him and then slam him into the ground. It could be used as a hold position, a controlling position, or it can be used as a submission to break the shoulder. Should I continue, Dean, or is someone asking questions?
Nothing yet, but everybody's seeing you clearly and hearing you clearly. So
okay, great. So I'll put the Kimura into a context because this is FMA discussion. First, from a blade position. So from someone that's holding a knife. So generally, I won't go into the entry. We'll just start from a inside 2-on-1 position. But generally, you would have gained control of the weapon bearing limb. And now through series of different positions, let's say this inside 2-on-1, you need to break the opponent's posture, okay? Because if Stipan is standing upright, you will not be able to go against this. And if you try, Stipan will just come out of the back. Now he can lift you, he can throw you in, or he can continue to stab you in the gut, okay? So we'll start from this inside 2-on-1, the infamous inside 2-on-1 position, which, you will see a lot of it self-defense. They hold it like this or like this. Some idiots hold it like this, and they're striking. Generally, in all of the boss system, we always use the pincer grip. This is a common wrestling technique, which all high school wrestlers will know. It's basically wrist control, and you control the wrist with 3 fingers. Okay, so I'm in this position. Stipan's knife is glued to my pocket. So now, if he wants to pull the knife back, he's pulling basically all of my body weight. Okay, I'm not holding this outstretched from my arm. Everything is tight, and I'm putting all of my body weight onto Stipan's arm. Okay, now in this position, I can force a Kimura by generally striking, and this lowers Stipan's head, then lower than my chest. When his head is lower than my chest, this is the time that you can go for a Kimura. If he's higher than my chest, no Kimura. So you can start striking, and now you can go, remember, over the shoulder, grabbing your own watch. And now this is the difference when you're going to use the thumb or no thumb. If I do jujitsu now, Stipan can still, because I'm holding without the thumb, Stipan can stab, okay, because I have nothing to push back. But if I'm using a thumbless grip, now I can prevent Stipan from stabbing me. I kick on the inside, I glue it at top, and you go into the breakage, okay? So obviously I won't break Stipan's arm, but this is because it's a standing submission. You have to do it violently and fast. You do not have the ground or the wall to minimize his explosiveness. So once you're here, you have to twist violently and bam, break the shoulder and still continue holding the arm, because maybe you broke the shoulder, but the weapon is still in his grip. Okay, so again, from this grip, I'm in this inside 2-on-1 position, so the opposite of Russian tie. We're fighting. I strike the inner thigh just to get a reaction. As I strike, this drops low. I hook a Kimura and now glue it to my chest, and enter inside and break the shoulder. If this is done against the wall, or if you're in a super closed space, you can use the. Let me just see. You just tell me, Dean, if you can see it. Okay.
Well, no, we're good. We're good.
We're good. Okay. So I was in this position. I hit him. I went. Now I can use the Kimura to turn Stipan, basically smashing his head into the wall, and then continue going. Now I can use the wall to basically hit his arm to basically destroy the hand with this 2-on-1 grip, and maybe he lets go of the knife, boom, boom, boom. Now you can finish the walk, or you can transition, into more classical, empty-handed stuff. So you can submit, you can control, you can push, as long as you keep his head beneath your chest line. Whenever he gets this up, you're in super trouble. Whenever,
that's for sure.
Whenever, if Stipan makes a mistake and he drops this Kimura low, so you see how his elbows are down. They're not up high where they should be. The easiest counter, even if there is no knife, I just drop low, I hop high, and I just lift him up, and I dump him because his hands are trapped. You go head first into the ground. So remember, when you grab Kimura, you grab it super high, like you're, holding a gun. whatever. And now, if your hands drop low, you're losing the position, transition to something else. Are there any questions, or I'm just fucking breezing through this?
No. I mean, no, it's yeah. I'm just gonna catch up with some of the comments that are coming in. We got a bunch of people saying hello. We got Eric, we got Miguel, Errol from New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, UA from Germany. We got Mike and Brian. Hey, Brian, hope all is well with you and the family. Yeah, I mean, no, so far nothing. But folks, if you do want to see something, please let me know, and I'll be sure to ask Marko. Yeah, you know, I hate 2-on-1. You know, I don't know if you know that, but and I hate the inside position. I just
Yeah. I generally dislike the grappling. I don't know why I'm even doing this. I'm known for my, my Dumok skills, but I don't know why I'm doing this jiu-jitsu grappling shit.
You excel in Dumok?
Yes. Croatian Dumok champion right here. 99, baby.
I had no idea that you were Dumagurio. I had no. Okay. Okay. You know. Oh
yeah. So I'll continue on with the Kimura if no one has.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
Okay, I'll just go over again quickly the position.
Sure.
So Stepan had a knife. We won inside position. This doesn't matter. You have to be on the inside to go for the Kimura. I can't be like with the Russian Thai. With the Russian Thai, you have a position which is called the reverse Kimura. But this is super dangerous because you have to change actual grips of the hand to go to this, and then what wrestlers do, they basically roll under to break the shoulder and to throw. I think it's just too much. On the ground, it has its usages, but generally for our demonstration, you go for a Kimura whenever you're between someone, whenever you're on the inside. Okay, that's when you go for a Kimura. If you're on the outside, do different shit. Okay, so pincer grip, putting pressure. Stepan is in the same height as me, so I have to use strikes to get him down. Now I go for a Kimura. Remember, deep over the shoulder, not fucking shallow, because he can, first of all, he can stab me, and second of all, he can just move beyond me. Okay, so when I go over the shoulder, I'm controlling it with the thumb so that I can push it away from me so that I don't get stabbed. Okay, none of this thumbless shit. When you hit the ground, you go thumbless like a monkey grip, but when you're standing, when there's a knife, always go with the thumb. I glue it to my chest, and now I step inside with my inside leg to prevent him from spinning, to prevent his movement from spinning, and I finish the lock. You can also do I don't know if you can see, I'll just go gentle. Here, you can also continue to strike, but if this leg is in front of me, you can go for Osotogari, so you can throw him from this position and land on top of him. Again, I wouldn't advise it, but these are all options. Always use the simplest one. Break the wrist, continue holding it, kick him, slam him into the wall. Remember, this is an excellent position for control, because when you're here, you can start pushing him into the wall and now smashing his hand against the wall or scraping it to cause damage and then breaking the wrist. Okay, so that's versus a knife. Second option is for you guys that, carry a gun, police officer or whatever. It is an excellent retention technique. What I mean by that, usually police officers get into a grappling exchange because you're going to be at a hand's distance from your opponent while you're talking or while you're trying. And usually because it's, outside carry, the gun is not concealed. The first thing that suspects go are for your weapon. And you will see police officers trying to scramble, push this. They end up on the ground. Shit happens. This is an awesome technique. Why? Because when he grabs this, I am basically on the inside already. I use the same pincer grip and I push his arm into the gun. Okay, so now it's locked in. Again, I can grab a 2-on-1, the same as we did with the knife. Hit him, get over, grab the Kimura. Now there's a little trick to it because he's holding onto something. Okay, I don't want to pull up because that can draw the gun. I use the blade of my second hand to dig into the muscles, and I go at a 45 degree down and I push my hips downward. Okay, so I'm basically doing this. And again, same principle. Get the elbows up, bump, or disengage, and draw the firearm. Okay, so again, let's say suspect got us control of the weapon. I see this, I immediately lock his hand onto the gun. You can, of course, I can elbow here or headbutt here to lower him down, but I prefer this, to control chaos. Once the chaos is settled, you can start striking, go over the shoulder, break the wrist, and finish the kimura. Is anyone asking any questions? No?
That was an excellent point. Like, I'm not a gun guy, so I don't teach gun stuff because it just would be irresponsible and ethically, erroneous for me to even do that. However, though, what I do for the knife is very similar to you. If their guys reach into their pocket, freaking jam that C-clamp. I mean, like, much to your point, you start pulling that up, you just facilitated them to draw. So I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah. So basically, if they start reaching for the weapon, you want to glue it even more to your pocket. So because their hand is already gonna be extended, because I want extension. This is bad for him. My arms are close to my body. This is the principles of wrestling, T-Rex arms. So now his arm is weak. So now I can go for this kimura. If he was super close, if he went inside position, if he went 2 arms on my gun, now this would be a problem. Now I would have to create space and then maybe go for a kimura, or start striking to go again for the kimura and try to break the grip. Okay, so the key to any kimura, good kimura holders, you want to outstretch their arm. Once their arm is outstretched, it basically it goes against all of the universal grappling concept. Is you want your arms in, you want your arm close. This is where you're powerful. You're using all of your body. You don't want your arms extended, because again, this is bad, because now you're just using your arm strength.
Yeah, it's a concept of I do with my students, and this is not going to be foreign to you. I just tell them the concept of good triangle, A, B, and C. Like, what do we do in real life like this? You know what I mean? It's exactly, so, but we did this again. Marker, Rich, and Batista. You guys, Eric, can you show some work from guard?
With weapons or without weapons?
I'm going to assume Eric. I'm going to assume weapons, but he'll come back. But well, maybe show the Kimura from the guard for starts.
Okay, so I'll show you the classical kimura from the guard. Let's just see if we're in frame. No, I have to drop the camera. Okay.
Oh, Marko, he just said weapons. But if you want to show the non-weapon version first,
the thing is, okay, great idea. So the thing is, just for the viewers, because Eric knows this, Eric's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So if someone's in your guard, okay, you see us?
They're good. It looks good.
Yeah. So the basic principles, like the basic jiu-jitsu, is whenever you get your opponent's hand down to the mat, they're not on you. Basically, you can get wrist control, and then some people don't open the legs. We at Misfits teach open the legs but pinch the thighs, and then you basically lift your hips over like you're doing a bump sweep. So now you can sweep him from this position, and if he pushes back, you would basically lock the kimura, lock your legs, and then you would move. I don't know if you can see me. You would move at an angle to get a 90-degree angle, and again move with your whole body weight and finish the. You can Stipan is.
No,
Stipan doesn't want to tap for the demonstration. So basically, that's what a kimura is in jiu-jitsu terminology. It's basically locking again the same grip, but now you're on the ground and you're using the ground to kill his rotation. And you open your legs, you get an angle, and bam, you finish the kimura. The thing is, on the ground, if you're on bottom versus the knife, the kimura is almost impossible. Okay, why? Because of the grips. For a kimura, you have to have the opponent's wrist lower than his elbow, and this is why we grip like this. When we're on the ground, usually his wrist will be above his elbow, so your grip will have to be like this. You cannot attack a kimura with this grip. You have to have this type of grip. And on the ground, that's almost impossible. Because if Stepan has a weapon and he's in my guard, you see naturally his, doesn't matter which grip is, his wrist is higher than his elbow. So I have to always grip like this, which means going for a kimura is impossible. If somehow, by some stupidity, Stepan kept his weapon down, now I could isolate and start locking up the kimura. But generally, a kimura, because of the wrist to elbow high or low, just facilitates a different grip, so you can actually attack a kimura from the ground. You would have to go for an Americana, which is a reverse basically kimura. So it goes like this instead of like this, because then it's a very similar grip. You can attack from this position. So I hope that answers Eric's question. I don't know if he wanted to see grappling on the ground with the weapon, or he was just asking specifically for the kimura.
His was definitely work from guard, but much your point, man. I've never had success with kimura and from somebody in guard. With the weapon, it's just a nightmare. And matter of fact, when you even attempt for it, you leave yourself just so prone, all this center mass to just get exposed and
the main grip, the main thing is the grip, because you will be gripping upward and not downward.
Yeah, he's got all the leverage.
Because again, your opponent's wrist will be above his elbow. Usually, he will be attacking with this type of pattern or with this type of pattern. He will not be going upward because again, you're on the ground. I hope that makes sense, because grips dictate what we go to. A lot of people force just one thing. In boss, his position against his elbows, my hands against his wrist, that will all facilitate if this is open, if this is closed, where I go to. I cannot force, if I'm closing this, to go to the inside, because I'll basically stab myself. So I have to go to the outside to a Russian tie. A similar thing, if this is low, I can go for a kimura. But if this is like this and I'm gripping like this, there's no way I can go for a kimura. I would have to change grips now, go into like a Americana lock or anything again. Why? Because my plane of movement has changed. So again, my grips have to change as well. As the grip changes, the whole changes.
You know what I've been playing with him and been having success with? When he draws out, so I just want to get your opinion on this. I definitely let go of the legs like you do, but I also want to expand my center mass from him. So I'll go legs to hips, and if he comes down, I'm putting the bar, catching the arm, and from there, knowing I'm not going to hold him there forever, but forcing his transition to either force window of opportunity or he's going to yank that arm back. If he yanks that arm back, get the hell out of there. But if he pushes the window, I transfer the arm between my legs with two hands. It's been coming out pretty good because it's 4 points of contact.
Yes. Yeah, it's basically we do the same thing. So I'll show you just if I understand you correctly. I'll do it from the guard. We do it from the mount. It doesn't matter. So whenever we fell into this position, I don't know if people can see it. Yeah. So the grip the grip doesn't matter. Okay, this could be saber, whatever. The camera grip. I'm getting this type of hold. So not this type of hold, which I'm getting standing, but this type of hold. My elbow's on the inside. I want his arm extended. I don't want to be pushing into him because now my arms are stretched. That's the first principle. Second of all, I always want to be going cross body, meaning I always want to be pushing his hand and putting something. And now I can start going to stand up, or if he starts pushing up, I can start inverting, and now I can go for let's say an arm bar, or again pushing, controlling, getting into these positions where I'm constantly trying to pin the weapon to the ground as I'm trying to get back up. This is not the greatest angle, but I hope it's the same thing.
It's fine.
Okay, so even in mount, if we're in mount and I get control, so we get this control. Okay, I'm always pushing to the side and trying to pin his hand to the ground, shrimping, moving away, controlling, again, and then wrestling back up to a better position. I always want to go crossbody because then he needs to use the other hand to post and not, to punch me or to break grips. So this, and I go always depending on, which hand is holding the knife, going crossbody and trying to get my limbs on his hips so that I can create space to either, do a technical get up or wrestle up or whatever.
Yeah, to me that's key, man. Like you said, getting those legs on the hips, expanding your center mass out. So you have the option of getting out of there.
Yeah, and keeping everything close, and then when it's time, extending so that all of his body weight has to go in one direction. So this makes him light on the other side, and meaning I can start getting up to my feet, because that's the essence. I don't want to disarm him on the ground. I want to get up, and this is just buying me time to get back up. And again, you will get stabbed. Like it's people say, "Oh, I would stab you. I would break." It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. It's.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Yep.
Okay. So of course, if I'm on mount, maybe I get it in the forearm, but as long as he's trying to catch something, we'll start grappling here. Okay, so now he got his first point of contact. Now he gets his second point of contact. Now I'm already in trouble because if he pushes this way, I have to base. And now this is making my other side light so that he can get up. Okay, it's a universal principle of if I go this way now, everything here is light. I'm off my hips. I'm not putting all of my body weight in him. He can start shrimping, getting back up, resting up, but always pinning the, just move to this, okay? Always pinning it to the ground. So now I have to post. As I'm posting, as I'm posting and trying to get this up, you see he's already started to slowly wrestle up. And again, that's what we want to do. We don't want to do, classical jiu-jitsu because you can get into big problems. But again, using the ground like we're using walls. Yeah.
Have you ever tried this? It's very similar to what you're doing. I knee bump the back of his tailbone here, much as forcing him over there to regain his structure, and then kicking opposite leg over to push him away. If that makes sense.
That's like a classic lumpa. So that will be like your classical Gracie jiu-jitsu. Doesn't matter if he's upright, you use basically this to bump him, and then you start either trapping the arm and then rolling over to one side. The problem is I have with this, guys that have good balance, you won't be just able to kick them back. They'll ride you. And this is why empty-handed or, with a knife, I like always this new approach to jiu-jitsu. Basically, I push to one side, and now I start shooting out. I can go for leg locks, or I can start resting up. This is just something I prefer to do. I basically, they call it now, they even do kipping, but I basically always push him to one side, and then I insert my whole body to the other leg. So,
and kicking away.
From this direction. So just, did you see? Well, so generally, I'll put my elbows inside, I'll push so that he has to post. Now that this leg is light, I'll insert myself either for a leg lock position or I start resting back up. So this is just one of my favorite mount escapes. And I do the same principle with the knife. I go to the side so that he has to post. Now his legs are light, and I can slowly shrimp out and pin the knife to the ground.
Yeah,
I hope that answers your question.
Leg over, like you said, throw the leg over, lock it, or just kick. But that's been working well for me as well. Very similar to what you're doing. Okay, something came in here. Let's say you took a hit already, maybe one stab. Now you are bleeding and your grip is compromised. Can you demo this stuff with Vaseline or cocoa oil in your hand? It's going to be tough, Morgan. When you can't grip, I mean, that's just my opinion, but I'll let Marko go further.
So unless you're fighting a naked man, there's always going to be clothing which will facilitate the gripping action. Okay. Second of all, hence why we always double grip. I don't do this one grab shit. This is ridiculous to me. I mean, it's not ridiculous. Some people have success with it, but I always assume that my opponent is stronger and bigger. So why do I use two-handed grips? Like I showed you, the Kimura, the Russian tie, everything, because it's two hands against one. It is strategically better. The problem with one-handed grips versus the weapon, and you'll see this a lot in MMA. You'll see the, you know, the snaking, the taking of this is you're relying on your speed, and you have to understand that if you're fighting someone younger, they're going to be faster. Anytime you grip with just one hand and you try to claw or do shit, this is a weak grip, because my weakness is here. So this is why I cover it like this or like this. And the only system that I saw that does very similar things, but they don't put their body weight, into these grips, is Barak Supo. You will see a lot of their stuff is they always catch their hands with two hands on one. Why? Because again, you're using your two hands versus one hand. Now, maybe you're slippery. This is why you have to constantly train grappling. I grapple sweaty. I lose grips. I reattach grips. That is the nature of fighting. And you should get strong inside of the technique. A lot of people dismiss 2-on-1 holds because they're weak, because they don't train their body, or because they don't understand the principles of grappling and pressure that wrestlers, judokas, sambois, and jiu-jitsu guys have. The more you grapple like rock climbing, your grips will become. The late Slaven Planic had a grip like a fucking vice. It was ridiculous. Like he would grab your hands and my fingers would start going numb. Okay, because people generally want an easy way out, but the easy way out is you have to train. Stepan doesn't need to have any technique. I have to have a shit ton of technique, shit ton of conditioning and luck and strength to win an exchange with the knife. If we went to the ground, like you have fucked so much already. So I know that doesn't answer the question, but again, if you're sweaty.
No, it did. It did. And much to your point, man, like if you're on the ground with a knife, you got to think about, man, there are a lot of things that went wrong. And if you got there are a lot of things that like went wrong before you got there. And
so if I can just add on to this, I'll show you, like, again, when I show boss to creations, because a lot of creations don't carry knives, even though we are a knife-friendly country, like there are no laws against carrying knives. Boss originally, like you will see us like in Russian ties, and you will see me like go for a script, or you will see me, go for uchimata and all of these things. Now, in reality, from this Russian knife, I clamp, I draw my own knife, and now I start standing. The wrestling is just to subdue the chaos of the initial frenzy of an attack. Once I get you here, once I may be bleeding here, but I'm using all of my body weight. Okay, I'm not just relying against, on this little grip. I'm trying to put my weapon into play as fast as possible. Again, that's my reality. But for most civilians, again, and for police, when I show the grappling part is initially just to subdue the chaos, so that you can start pinning against the wall and now safely drawing your weapon. Because if you start drawing your weapon while you're getting stabbed, it's Russian roulette. Maybe you win, maybe you don't.
Yeah, that's why I tell my students, sometimes you have to deal with the threat before you access opportunity. I mean, you gotta deal with the threat first. It's like you see that
exactly.
They're trying to draw and they're just getting freaking.
Going 1-for-1 is never good. And if we look at CCTV footage, and this is my main reference point whenever I do anything. Like I look at knife attacks, I different part of the country and stuff. That different countries, different parts of the world. Generally, not just knife attacks, fighting. And this will piss probably a lot of people off. It's generally when you see two people fight, it's usually bad boxing and bad wrestling. And if you want to get good at fighting, you should get good at boxing and wrestling. Now, when I say boxing, I mean pugilism. I don't mean, this could be anything. This could be kickboxing, Muay Thai, anything that has a sparring component in it, where you're getting punched in the face while you're punching back is fucking awesome. The second part is the grappling, judo, freestyle wrestling. I would say even for Americans, folk style wrestling is one of the best grappling systems for street fighting, because it teaches you how to throw people, how to control people, and how to get back up from people holding you down. Jiu-jitsu is also awesome. You know, sambo for us Eastern Europeans, it mixes, you know, the clothing part, the gripping part, the headbutts, everything in it. So when you look at knife attacks in particular, it's usually someone closing the distance, putting you inside the wall so that you can't escape, and the attack is manual and rapid like the solar machine. So at this distance, you can hit me, and we can go 1-for-1, and maybe you knock me out, but I guarantee you, you're gonna die. I can be knocked out, but you won't get to the hospital. And this is why natural reaction comes. Natural reaction comes, is this ripping, he gets control, and now it's a fight. Why now he controlled chaos? He got stabbed. I punctured the belly. It's not anything life threatening, but he's fighting back. He got control, and now progressing to the position.
You got to keep going. Like, what if you got loved ones, man? You got to stay in there. I mean,
and the thing is, once someone attaches him to yourself, the only answer, like people, I lose my shit to this when they say, I do anti-grappling. The fucking word anti-grappling has the word grappling in it. Yeah. The only anti-grappling is grappling. That's the thing. For you to detach yourself from another man, to not be thrown or pressured or put into the ground or, you know, tripped or smashed into the wall, is you have to know how to wrestle.
No,
like, go do it. Let any 165-pound college wrestler grab your wrist and you tell me how you fucking counted it. I guarantee you're gonna go flying into the ground. You're gonna get picked up and slammed on your head. And like, this is not anything new. Our ancestors did this. The Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians. I wanted to post a picture. There is an Egyptian hieroglyph of a person holding a kimura. I'm sure they didn't call it a kimura. He was holding a kimura against an armed opponent. The Greeks used wrestling when they would lose a weapon. The Viking had glima. The Japanese had jiu-jitsu. These are all grappling-based systems when you lose your weapon.
Yeah. A lot of it, much to your point, like, you see those old pictures where they're doing that, and why? I think it relates also to a biological response. Like, what we do when we go around the corner with a spider web and all that, man, boom. It's boom. So why not piggyback what you do and I do, piggyback off what you're going to do naturally and then work from there?
So just to interject, when you said about the oil and Vaseline, there is a famous Greek a relief. How do you say? I'm not sure. Like, when it's chiseled into stone.
Oh, so it's could be a statue, or it could be
not like a statue, but it's chiseled. Yeah. Like, it's chiseled like a picture into the wall. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It depicts this position, and me and Slaven use this. Put your hand on my head. It's this position.
There you go.
And why is this? Because Greek wrestlers would oil themselves up. And this is why they always went for 2-on-1. We're not talking about weapon-based grappling. We're talking about like old school pancration style of where you could do anything. They would, if they wanted anything from this position, let's say an arm drag or, you know, a kimura, they always went 2-on-1 because that was the logical thing to do. You want Tom Sokis talks about this, you know, strategy and tactics. Use everything that you have on you. And why wouldn't I try to put all of my body weight on the weapon-bearing limb? Why would I decide to be dumb and split my forces up when I could concentrate all of my attack on one limb? And now he's not thinking about stabbing. He's now thinking of getting his arm back. While he's thinking that, he's not stabbing me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, if you're not doing 2-on-1 empty hand against knife, well, I mean, we've had this talk like millions of times. I'm just going to catch up making sure I did not. But much to your point, that was a good point. Like, if you think about it, like, if you got basic good boxing, good understanding of clinch work and grappling, now throw some weapons in there. Like, I mean, that, like, if you had to do 3 things to be, you know, for self-defense, man, some good stand-up, decent stand-up, understanding, some basic good understanding of clinch and ground. Now a weapons component in there, and
Yeah,
so
and to the thing that you're saying, you don't need to have a lot. The problem is, well, a lot of people go into weapon arts and then they start learning watered down, empty-handed systems.
yeah,
I think it should be the opposite. You have to have a solid empty-handed system. You have to know how to strike, throw elbows,
mm,
clinch, throw people, and then you can add weapons, because weapons are what they are: equalizers, or how do you say, threat multiplier.
right.
And you don't need a lot of knowledge with the knife. It's like focusing so much time, knife versus knife or stuff like that. If you're doing it for a cultural perspective or from a dueling perspective for fun, I do it myself.
Yeah, yeah,
As you know, there's a lot of videos of me sparring with a knife and stick. I find it super fun. But if we're talking about the actual application of self-defense or self-protection, you will, as a good guy, mostly start empty-handed, because generally that's how it happens. Okay, unless you're the criminal and you're the one attacking
you're
first.
right, right, and you're the
That's
one
the
that's
whole.
got it. Like you come from a criminal methodology, but much to your point,
Yeah,
you're going
but
to
that's
be
different. That's different because that's
different
very,
context.
very regional. That's
Yeah,
very regional, and that's very region specific. It
yeah,
doesn't translate well to, let's say, if you're living in a first world European country,
yeah.
or on the Eastern Bloc, or in the Philippines, or in South Africa. It changes, but for the most of the population, empty-handed techniques, good empty-handed fighting systems, I would say combat sports will have a bigger advantage than warrior arts, traditional
Mm.
warrior arts, like ninjutsu or like FMA. And
I
that rubs some people wrong.
agree.
I also do Filipino martial arts, and if I could choose between FMA and jiu-jitsu in a street fight, I would choose jiu-jitsu. And
Yeah.
I've been doing FMA much, much longer. So yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I definitely, definitely. I'm just gonna make sure I'm not missing anything here. Much, yeah. This is what GM Ray is saying here. I totally recommend. Yeah, if you want to examine empty hand against knife, man, in my opinion, you need two people in your camps. Grapplers, they never leave an arm out. They had natural elbow home, and I guess, and boxers. So much,
Yeah.
definitely, Raymond Floro is on point with that. There. What else we got here? I think I missed a question though. I just want to back up a bit. They were starting to fly in. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm going to assume this question is in reference into when you were playing around with a Russian tie. And it's from
Okay.
Coach Danny. I notice you mostly control at the wrist area versus controlling the base of the hand. Are you not concerned with the opponent being able to stab or cut your hands or arm? I'm going to assume, yeah, I'm going to assume it's that position. Yeah.
So
So
can
his
can you just repeat
concern,
the? Mhm.
so his concern is, his question is, are you concerned with the opponent being able to potentially cut your hands or arm?
No, no, because again, I'm doing the motorcycle. I'm putting this in. We did this with the live knife.
Okay.
When we film something, we did this with an actual knife. And yeah, you maybe get pricked or like. I remember, I'm not holding it like an empty-handed Russian. This is bad. This is empty-handed application. Is he grabs a collar tie? Let's say we in this clinch, and now
Mhm.
wrestlers will understand this, because then you go into all of this shit. This is an actual Russian tie. This is actually a two-on-one position. This is what in American wrestlers call two-on-one position. But here in the Eastern Bloc, we call this the Russian tie. And because Soviet wrestlers and Cuban wrestlers use this very effectively versus American
Mhm.
wrestlers, and hence why they call it Russian tie. The biggest difference is I'm not going palm up like an empty-handed technique. I'm going palm down. Again, why? Because of the entry. And entry dictates, like I said before, grips dictate everything. So I got into this position. If let's say Dean will get this position, this is a baseball grip. So we're here, and I feel that I'm losing this position, or that he's pushing into me. I will transition into the Russian tie. If let's say he started opening this arm up, now I can transition into the Russian tie, but I'll transition inside position.
Inside
So
position.
again, depending how his arm is positioned against his body, I will enter into this various position. But again, with the Russian tie, I am not afraid of getting stabbed. Why? Because a lot of people don't understand this. This is not a Russian tie, even though it looks like a Russian tie. This is a Russian tie. I'm constantly extending my chest, putting pressure down, putting my shoulder down. All of my body weight is basically on this part of the hand. So he has to support his body weight and all of my body weight while I'm constantly trying to sprawl and basically dislocate a shoulder. That's what I want to do. I want to sprawl so hard. I'll do this gently because Stepan arm is fucked up. When I'm standing, this is not Russian tie. You see a bunch of these skull up guys. They grab like this and but this is nothing. Russian tie is this. Stepan stands strong.
Yeah.
This is pressure, and pressure kills. Sorry. Okay. So I want to be extending, breaking. Again, you get this by practicing. This is not a technique which you will use and be like, oh, this is a magical technique. This like you have to have hours and hours and months of constantly going for Russian against sweaty dudes, doing this empty-handed and with weapons to develop this style of pressure.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah. No, understood. I mean, all right. Let me just. Okay. Okay. Actually, his question was regarding when you were, he was in your guard and he had reverse grip. That was from the potential, I guess, of the arm or hands getting cut. So yeah, he's in your guard and he had the right. Yeah, perfect.
So he was in my guard.
Correct.
And reverse grip.
Yeah, and he's worried about.
So you mean if he's like shimmering?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so the thing is, when you grip, and again, you will get pricked and stabbed. If you grip high, as I told you, there is a lot of mobility in his elbow. But if you fish it up, you see how the mobility is less and less. Again, I'm gripping super high. He can do this. There's no point about it. But then this is why, again, you start moving this. As Dean started putting your legs between him, I'm gripping. Just let me move closer. So with any type of grip, it doesn't matter if it's this grip or this grip. If you grab here, there is a lot of. There's a lot of this. But if I get here, you see how this minimizes it, and now you're turning. It's all strength based. Like when Stepan does the grip, because Stepan used to do parkour and shit. Like he has super strong grip. But it's the similar thing even in this grip. When they would say, when you grab here, can he do this? Yes, if I'm here. But if I'm here, you see now how his hand is barely moving.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. No, good point. Yeah. Hey, when your guy.
And you will get stabbed. I'm not saying you will not get stabbed. You will get stabbed. You will get bloody. Yeah. But again, stabbed here, you live. Stabbed here, you live. You have to protect this. This is what Dean said. My arms, my reactions are always, my shoulders come up to protect the vitals. My arms are in front of me to protect the heart, and my elbows are glued to my sides to protect my lungs. This first world country, you'll get to the hospital. Don't worry. There are horrible videos of people getting stabbed and then walking to the hospital and surviving.
You're not going to go unscathed. Like exactly, you're not going to go unscathed. You're going to have. Yeah. I mean,
there's no system that goes that will get you any type of guarantee that you will survive or that you won't get injured. I always love how people say like, jiu-jitsu, what about multiple attackers? Apart from a gun, there is no fucking system out there that can help you stave off multiple attackers. Sure, boxing will, keep you at range, the angle, then, so that you can run or escape. But if you're in a small space, good fucking luck. Yeah, go Dirty Harry, bam.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you. Do you guys, one thing I tell my guys, and like in guard, for instance, when they're posting up like this, or they're pulling back with a knife, like, do you have this kind of, like, I tell my guys, don't chase what you can't catch. Like, don't start bringing your center mass to that knife, man, because it is good. man, you are going to freaking die. In other words, so back like here, are you advocating for your guys to get the hips and just get the hell out of here when they're drawing up for the big strikes?
Yeah, if it's on the ground,
Correct.
if it's on the ground, I would. And again, if it's standing, I would try to move my whole body weight to into the strike. So not just my outstretched arms, as you're saying, but on the ground. I understand what you're saying, but again, it's this. What do you call it, people? The death grip. You're so hard trying to grab onto
That's
anything,
what I mean, but
you
not
know.
chasing it. Like if they're going back like this, get the hell
Yeah.
out of there. Like don't chase
Yes.
what you can't catch. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you're on the ground, then I understand you can't move if you're pinned. But if they chamber back up, that's
Get
your place to, use your hips to bump them, to displace their energy,
okay,
to
good.
create frames so that you, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's. I think, Dean, it's universal for fighting. If it's, I always give this an example. So let's say I'm in mount.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get this. Okay. So I'm in mount. It's no knife. And I go to punch. Whenever I chamber back, whenever I lift my elbow high, if Stipan just brings his hips up, umpan. So if I go back up, this
That's
is
what I
the time
mean,
you
man.
displace someone. If
There's your
Stipan
green
tries,
light.
what a lot of people do in untrained people do is I go up and he tries to catch my hand.
That's what I mean.
I'm gonna just smash it. But this is again, this is trained purple vision effect. So it's the same principle with a knife. If he goes to reach this, I'll just block this and I'll stab the shit out of him. But if I go to chamber and he bumps and then tries to catch it, now it becomes a whole different thing because I'm catching my base. I have to think about I don't want to fall. And this is again, whenever you make your opponent think of not wanting to fall, not wanting to get this up, not wanting to get slammed into the ground, he's not thinking of stabbing you. He's thinking, I have to counter this.
Yeah. 100%. No, I totally agree with you. Like, good. Yeah. I mean, like, again, I mean, we definitely come from similar mindsets, but like I really tell my guy, because the natural thing is like, oh, I want to go get it. And it's like, man, don't chase what because you are going to basically, you're bringing your center mass. Now you got no defense at all because you just, So I'm glad you see the same thing. That's just.
Because what you're describing is basically the universal principles of fighting. And again, we get back to grappling. Whenever you see Greco-Roman guys grapple, it's always elbows here. No one's doing this. Here, heads touch, and now they start hand fighting. And now this is basically what, Greco or any type of upper body grip, they always keep it here, and then they start fighting because the moment you outstretch your arms, it's like you've given them arm drags, you give them Russian ties, 2-on-1 grips. You're giving all of these options.
Yeah, it's totally correct. I mean, like, not to digress here, but like imagine with Piper, you start chasing, man. You are gonna be, man. You're freaking done, man. That's their world. Oh, you want to bring both these arms out now? Oh, you know what I mean? It's just
But again, situations always dictate context. If I have open space, I won't grapple. I will not chase the knife. But if you corner me in an elevator,
you're gonna have to.
Now I have to grapple because a lot of people think I just think that grappling is the only thing. It's not. It's because when you look at most knife attacks, there are ambushes in small spaces. It is unless you're getting attacked on the street, by a jihadi, or fanatics, that are running you down. Then it's a different thing. Then you can put chairs in front of you. You can use your legs, your backpack. Don't chase the knife. Don't run towards someone trying to catch the can. But grappling happens in this range. We use this drill. When we drill, the first thing is like, Stipan is turned back. I turn and I start the neck. This is the range that grappling happens. Okay, and natural instinct is your hands want to try to catch it, but I'm at this range. If I was at this range, this is suicidal for him to try to catch this hand. He'll never catch this. But again, he can use his feet, he can use his arms, he can use, I always say, if he's coming for me and I see that the first thing I'm going to get is this long range, baby. Like, why would I chase the hand? I'll hit them with this, I'll run away. But if he comes, he grabs me, he turns me and starts. So turn me around. Okay, sorry, we'll skip off training. Okay, just a second. So if this happens,
Yeah.
so this is when you go for it. Okay, why? Because I've attached myself, I grabbed something, and now I'm trying to hold the distance. If I'm yelling at him, I'm going to stab you from this distance, then you're an idiot if you're going to rush and try to grab.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Like, yeah, like again, I can tell my students like the 3 E's, egress, equalizer, ethical obligation. Like, yeah, man, if you can grab something, perfect. If you can run, perfect. Ethical.
Yeah.
Man, you got loved ones. You ain't, you
Yeah,
can't
exactly. You got loved ones. I'm faster than my wife and children. I always say this shit. And the thing is, like, when people say, "Oh, just run," the problem is I'm faster than my wife and children. As I get older and as I'm getting older, my physical attributes are deteriorating, and this is why, even though I'm relying on grappling, I'm always relying also on a weapon-based system. If I'm catching the Russian tide, I'm definitely not going to try to go what I show for empty-handed technique and application for people don't carry. My thing is, I've subdued the chaos. I got it into the bear trap position. I put my hips. My knife is already out. I'm stabbing. Okay. The same thing is if Stefan is approaching me from a higher distance, I'll probably teep him. I'll draw my knife, and now my weapon is into play. I don't want to box. I don't want to do empty-handed stuff. I don't need to. But again, I'm always training. I'm getting surprised. This is, I live in Europe. So I don't know what he's holding in his hand. It could be fist, it could be a knife. He can start drawing his weapon. So I have to have multiple options. It can't just be kill, kill, kill. I can't be like, oh, he's reaching for something, and then he was reaching for his cell phone. So yeah, situation dictates shit.
Yeah, man, this has been awesome because I got a private coming up, but
yeah. Sorry, Dean. I'm sorry if we.
No,
I think
no. No, perfect. Thumbs up. All right, thank you, brother. I'm sorry, what's his name?
Stepan.
Thank you. No comments. No, we got 18 people watching now, 22 likes. You killed it. So I appreciate you doing this. Yeah, we'll be in touch. I mean, don't be a stranger. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, what? Okay, like you can't help. You know what it is with you? It's like a car accident, man. You gotta look. it's like who's he talking about? It's like you gotta look, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, you know how I feel about you. Love you, man. And all that. Appreciate you. And yeah, let's. Any other time you want to do a joint seminar again, would love to do it with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Spring.
I would just like to thank the people for watching, liking, and I wish you and your family a happy Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and same to you, brother. But awesome. Hey, you take care of yourself. Yeah, let's do something in spring for sure.
Sure.
All right, man. You take care of yourself. God bless you and your family. Okay.
All right.
Try to stay out of trouble too. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You be good.
Bye, Dean.
Bye. All right, folks. Hey, if I don't see or talk to any of you guys, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Whatever it is you celebrate, I hope it's a good one. And I couldn't leave this without a song. Let's kick it. You guys take care.